Is that like a wise ass comment?
Oh, good for you.
It's funny to me too.
Because that guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing. What's happening, everybody? This is the Philly Experience Podcast alongside Chris Thacker, Tanner Gilmartin, Tyre Hood. I'm your host, Max Gratzola. It's great to be with everybody.
We know it's hard.
President's Day on this Monday afternoon, coming off a weekend in which we saw one of the best All-Star games in a while. Kawhi Leonard wins the MVP. Woo! First ever Kobe Bryant MVP award, and he gets it. He earns it, hitting 8 3-pointers from downtown, almost breaking Paul George's All-Star game record of 9, but wasn't able to get there. But that fourth quarter, guys, I got to tell you, that was really, really entertaining.
That was. And I'm not even going to front. That was a very entertaining All-Star weekend, except for one aspect.
Oh, there we go. Really? You want to dive into that?
You doggone right we're going to dive into it.
You
doggone right. Because I'm sick and tired of it. Year in and year out, this guy keeps getting robbed. I am sick and tired of Aaron Gordon getting robbed in this dunk contest. You know what? I want the whole dunk contest judging thing to be changed. All right? You know who I want judging the dunk contest now? I want actual participants who did participate in the dunk contest, or as a matter of fact, won the dunk contest, to be a judge. Why do we have the guy from... Why do we have the guy from the Black Panther? Why do we have Candace Parker? Why do we have Dwayne Wade? Why do we have Common? Why do we have judges like that judging a dunk contest? Most of these guys, none of them has participated in any kind of dunk contest whatsoever. Why?
T, I understand the frustration, and I kind of felt the same way at first. But then I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? As a whole, it was still a pretty entertaining dunk contest.
I'm not gonna lie.
Now, for me, I didn't have a side here. I didn't mind whoever won. You know, depending on, you know, who. I mean, listen, Dwight Howard and Pat Connaughton they obviously got eliminated, and then the final matchup for me, I didn't really care who won. I just wanted to see entertainment, and I think we all got that. I know Derek Jones Jr. His final dunk was that windmill from almost the free throw line. I think his goal was to get from the foul line to the net, but he wasn't able to do it. He just stepped ludicrous. In. So he earned, I think it was 2 9s. I don't remember specific judges who awarded him the 9s.
I don't remember specifically.
But and then Aaron Gordon, I get the whole taco thing. And listen, I'm not going to nitpick here because it's like supposed to be fun. It's not like actually like a game or of some sort. But he tried to clear Taco. I don't know if he completely cleared him. Taco's hands were kind of in the way.
Dude, he's 7'5".
He had to bend his neck a little bit too.
I'm just saying.
Oh, come on. This dude's 7'5".
And back to your judge thing, I think all the judges were Chicago natives. So that's why. They were, because D-Wade's from Chicago. Common's from Chicago.
Mm-hmm. D-Wade maybe a little Heat bias.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Jones
There's
Jr.,
actually 2 Heat players that won. Who won the skills challenge too.
You know what? I think Chris has something to say about this real quick.
Go ahead, Chris.
Piece of Swiss cheese.
That's what he got to say.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was like, whoa. If I'm being perfectly honest, I didn't watch.
But yeah, the All-Star game was very interesting to watch, and I don't know if it was just because I was focusing on these 2 players, but I did notice more energy out of Ben Simmons. He was the guy to go to in the beginning of the game.
He always brings the energy.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah. Whoa.
Oh, T, he always brings the energy.
Yeah, I would say more than Embiid, he does bring the energy.
Okay, I'll give you that.
I did notice Embiid was still a little lackadaisical on the court, maybe, but less.
True.
Obviously less playing with big stars like him.
True. I do agree that Embiid does need to pick up his energy. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if it's his fitness. I don't know if it's, the way he treats his body, the way he looks out for his body. I don't know what it is with Embiid, but he just looks slow.
He still had 22 points, 10 boards, and an assist, and he's competing against other All-Stars that are, most better than him.
That was a decent game. That was a decent windmill dunk.
Yeah, and Simmons had 17 as well.
Now, if we can only get him to play every quarter like the fourth quarter.
Agreed.
But at least it's a step in the right direction. I do think the way that these guys are considering, how the scoring works and how the format works for the NBA All-Star Game is definitely heading in the right direction.
I agree.
But I do think they needed. I mean, they added in the charity aspect of things to, each quarter is a different game, so to speak. So I think they have something going in the right direction from that standpoint. But if they can eliminate the the first 3, maybe 2 quarters, because I guess they kind of played a little bit in the third.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that fourth quarter, when you have 10 of the best players in the world going at it, I mean, they were at 120 in the snap of a finger. They were at 140,
Yep.
and then it took them like 45 minutes to get from 140 to 157 or whatever it was to win the final. The only thing that I wasn't a huge fan of is just ending on a free throw.
Yeah, exactly. And that
Yeah.
was the only complaint it seemed from the players as well, especially on the losing team.
I agree.
Embiid had a few
But
complaints
how about that block Giannis had on LeBron, man? Just the mere millimeters.
Yeah,
Like
he was
the
going all out.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
it was
why
really
I love
impressive.
Giannis, man.
How about Trae Young proving he can play with the big
Man.
guys? Definitely.
That half court shot.
Yeah, man.
I
That
wanted
was
to ask you guys about it because we're all watching the game, and I was sitting there looking in the fourth quarter especially, and I noticed that Luka's sitting because I'm trying to figure out are both sides have their 5 starters on the floor, and Chris Paul actually was in there for Luka, for Team LeBron, and Team Giannis actually had Kyle Lowry in the game over Trae Young. So I don't know why specifically that was. I don't know if it's because like Trae Young and Luka have a million All-Star games ahead of them probably, barring injury, and Chris Paul and Kyle Lowry are kind of older, or was the coaches like actually like okay, like picking matchups, which we've never seen before in an All-Star game, but were they thinking, hey, maybe Kyle Lowry and Chris Paul will give us a better opportunity to win? And Kyle Lowry, was like taking charges too. So
That
Yeah,
was
he was.
interesting. Yeah,
He was playing physical.
It was actually some defense play. Usually I'm insulting, the All-Star game. Usually I'm like, where's the doggone defense? Where is the love for the defense? But there was actually some defense being played out there. Like I said, the Giannis block, Kyle Lowry taking charges. It was actually a very entertaining game. I will say that.
Yeah, more entertaining now. The players don't play against the clock, but they're playing to get to a certain total.
Yes.
I thought it was
Agreed.
also cool that they tied at the end of the third quarter, so that extra 100,000 got carried over to the fourth, and then the winner had the big prize of like 300,000.
And like you said, I thought that was so cool that they did that for the aspect of charity. And I thought, man, that was a really cool.
That's a good idea, but here's the problem with it. I think if you want these players to play for real, and that's the ultimate goal to see, the entertainment would be crazy if we could see that fourth quarter throughout the years to come during the games. But here's the problem. If you want them to play all out for 4 quarters, like and this is just hypothetical situation, if one team wins all 4 quarters, like what happens to the other? Like the one charity, they played hard, but it's kind of like a win-lose situation. Like, okay, the players play hard and they play well, but the charities, maybe one charity gets shut out of money.
I think the rule was that if the one team would have won 3 games, that the game will automatically be over. But I do think in situations like that they do give money to that charity. It might not be as much as per se the winner, but I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, that those charities do get some sort of contribution as well.
Do you guys have any opinions off the top of your heads real quick of any changes you would make specifically?
And besides changing the fact that we need new judges in the dunk contest, other than that, I'm pretty satisfied.
Just winning on the free throws, kind of.
Yeah.
If we're talking about the game.
Yeah, I agree. I think one shot LeBron took, he stepped right over half court and tried to end it on a 3. It was kind of ridiculous. But it's all for the entertainment aspect.
Bunch of low lights.
3-point contest is kind of the same. They added in that 3-point shot with the Mountain Dew ball.
Yeah.
Like if they take a couple steps back. But all in all, I thought the 3-point contest for me is always kind of entertaining. It's just for fun aspect. I don't dive into it too much. I think the more I watch the dunk contest specifically, if they just do not try to do outside the box things like that haven't been done before, if they just stick to doing something athletic, like still doing behind the back or between the legs to the best of their ability, I think that's a lot more entertaining than Blake Griffin jumping over a car, for example.
But that's the thing though, how many times do you want to see the same dunk over and over again throughout the years? Ever since Michael Jordan did the free throw line dunk, how many times have you seen the free throw line dunk?
I know,
before?
yeah. No,
it's
I
been
agree.
done before. I understand most of these dunks we've seen before from different players time and time again. So I do appreciate the creativity that these guys come up with. Like the one dunk where the guy taps the ball on the backboard and still slams it down. Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's some crazy athletic ability.
Derek Jones Jr. had one man just throw the ball off the backboard. He caught it, put it between his legs, and then dunked it. So I don't know if we've seen that one before specifically. Maybe from that angle. We've also seen some from off the side of the backboard like Markel Fultz did with Aaron Gordon. But I do think that if you just take those dunks, not that they're simple dunks. I mean, these guys have ridiculous athletic ability, but more simple than having cards in play or things like that. If you just stick to, maybe you're doing the same dunk over again. But listen, for me personally, I would have seen those two guys dunk all night long. That's how entertaining it was.
I would have thoroughly been entertained. The only problem I have with Derrick Jones Jr. is the fact that he kept doing the same dunk, like the between the legs dunk. Like he kept doing that repeatedly.
Yeah, he did.
Just did it from different angles.
It was probably just his thing. He's left-handed. He's left-hand dominant, so he always goes right to left through his legs, and then, I thought the one year. I don't think it was over the weekend, but the one year when Aaron Gordon went under his legs, under both of them, and
that was cool.
Yeah, that was pretty entertaining.
Yeah. But you're going to see the same. You're going to see the same dunks over and over again if you don't learn to be some sort of learn to have some form of creativity. Holy crap, we got a caller. Holy crap. Wait a minute.
What's he here for?
Yeah, straight up.
Thank you for calling the Philly Experience Podcast. State your name and what you'd like to talk about.
Hey, wait a minute.
Wrong number, you piece of Swiss cheese. I'm giving you one more chance. No?
Yeah.
Let's hear it. We should move it on to sports.
All right.
Sounds like they were trying to talk.
All right, you have a great day.
Man, we got excited there for a second.
We did.
But hopefully they call back, or we get another caller in the future. Who knows?
I agree.
But since we're talking about dunks and someone that wasn't even in the dunk competition, Zion shined in the Rising Star game.
He did.
Didn't have many points, but his play was noticeable.
Catching
and
those
he
lobs.
dunked so hard he made the rim crooked.
Yes.
So that was.
How do you have that much power? I can't wait to see him in a dunk contest.
Yeah, earlier we were thinking maybe Zion was going to turn out to be a bust, but the way he's been playing ever since he started playing back with the Pelicans and now in the Rising Star game, it's just
like I said, growing up, like he was the big name that I just kept hearing through the rankings of AAU ball and things like that. Like I grew up around a lot of ballers, and that's all they would talk about was Zion. And I'm like, ain't no way this kid has that much hype. The only thing the kid can do is dunk.
Right.
But I've been pleasantly surprised, and I'm glad to say that I was wrong.
He's going to be fun to watch in the years to come.
I agree.
Even making a quick appearance at the Duke Notre Dame game over the weekend back at the place where he played college ball at. So it was cool to see him there and come back out to support his team. It was cool.
I will gladly give myself one of these. I'll take it.
You big dummy.
Yes.
Don't forget about R.J. Barrett either.
Yes.
R.J. Barrett just,
it's a shame he's on the Knicks, but
probably one of the reasons he doesn't get a lot of hype or talked about a lot. But he'll grow into it. Him and Cam Reddish both. Cam Reddish, we all know he has super talent too down there in Atlanta. So once the Hawks, and in my opinion, the Hawks could be one of those teams up and coming.
I agree.
Depending on how their young core grows as a whole. But you never know. If they get a big man, which they just got Capella, you never know.
I say also watch out for the Grizzlies as well with John Morant.
yeah, and especially beneficial for the Hawks because they got a guy like Vince Carter that can, show the youngsters how it's done.
I agree.
Definitely agree. I think a couple teams, that are weaker this year. I mean, the Knicks have been terrible for so many years now, and you expect them to be good. Especially this past offseason, we thought maybe they can land some big name free agents just because they're in New York in Madison Square Garden, and weren't able to land anybody big. But again, in the future years that come, R.J. Barrett's a good starting piece, and they are going to have some high draft picks as well coming up in the next couple of years.
Easily.
So we'll see what happens. I want to move on to this Houston Astros topic here about the apology and everything that Jim Crane, the GM, stated as spring training got underway. I know we talked about this topic when it came out a few weeks ago on the show, but just to watch the Astros over the last couple of years, just basically a team with so much talent that we haven't ever really seen before, ending with one of the bigger plays of the season, and that was Jose Altuve's walk-off home run off of Chapman last year.
That is blasphemous.
But again, Jose Altuve, before all this stuff came out, you just look at him like underdog type of player, short, but again,
that was
won
my
the MVP.
job.
And now to sit back and look at the whole cheating scandal, it kind of ruins all of our memories of the Astros over the last 2 years and puts an asterisk next to their World Series title.
Now to me, he ain't worth. Like seriously, man.
Yeah, I want to
just
one on a funny note here real quick. I heard an update that the Astros were out practicing today. I don't know if anybody else heard this at spring training camp, and I guess the spring training facilities are kind of open. They're not practicing in a stadium, surrounded by security gates and all. I'm sure they have security there, but for the most part, it's pretty open. And apparently, one guy fan, I guess you could call him, jumped the fence and ran onto the field and had a bat in the trash can and started banging it as they were practicing.
Man.
And then security, we know it's hard. Security started chasing him and he ran away.
That's great. No, but
Because that guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
as far as the Astros are concerned, I think Cody Bellinger said it best. He thought the apologies were weak, and it sucks because there's a lot of guys on the Astros team that I really like.
Altuve, Correa, I mean the list goes on and on.
George Springer, those are all players that I really admired.
Is there really an apology big enough to fix this mistake? There isn't.
They can say sorry all they want.
Well, here's the problem. The people who've already left the organization, like Mike Fiers and Dallas Keuchel, have already came out. Even Marwin Gonzalez with the Twins now, they have already came out and said, "Yeah, this happened and we apologize for it." But the fact that the players still on the Astros won't admit it just makes it 10 times worse. I mean, either come out and flat out say, "Listen, like we did it, we apologize for it." I mean, it's not going to help your reputation in the future, but at least at least you apologize for it like a man instead of keep brushing everything under the rug. And the fact that the players didn't get punished at all and they didn't lose their World Series title or rings or anything like that, it's just I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen with them as far as watching them and different teams that they play. I agree too. Good time for that one. Good time for that drop. But are they going to get hit? I'm trying to figure out. I lost all respect for them for doing this, and I thought obviously you can't sit for a year or anything ridiculous like that.
They can be banned from the playoffs.
Yeah, there's an option.
That's true.
But just going from city to city and watching them play, like we've seen this before with Braun or A-Rod with the steroid era, but that's only one player. Like we're talking about a whole team here.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
What are you going to throw? You can't throw at every player.
Yeah. And I mean, as far as stripping their title, it's what do? Do you just nullify it? You don't, because no one won then.
Right.
And the Dodgers were robbed, and
the Yankees were.
The Yankees were robbed.
The Yankees, I thought were robbed worse. Yeah.
But from now on, because these are guys, especially Altuve, Correa, and Springer, I think those are guys who are going to stick around, even in baseball, even beyond their playing years.
Yeah.
They can't wear that World Series ring ever again, because you didn't earn it.
I would have to go back and look at the series as far as home and away games the Astros played to see did they just specifically. I know the Game 7 of the World Series they beat the Dodgers in LA. But for the other series that they played, as far as like the ALCS and even last year's ALCS as well, did they did they win their home games, lose on the road? Because that would make a lot of sense because they only had the technology on the home games.
Yeah.
But I would have to dive back and look.
And then the trash can symbols, man, like that. It's like I said, it's so disappointing because they have so many likable players on that squad. Like I think we can personally connect with all of them. Like personally, my guy was Jose Altuve. Like you said, Max, underdog, undersized, but still plays bigger than his size. Like I appreciate,
especially because the Astros were terrible for our childhood years for the most part.
Right.
And then just, now rising to the top of the league.
Right. So to see that team come up from the ashes, man, that was a cool story. But for them to turn around and do something like that, I can't look at you the same.
Now, AJ Hinch got fired, correct? Or he just suspended with the Astros?
I'll look.
And also Alex Cora, I know he got fired.
I think Hinch got fired.
But at the end of the day, I do think that Alex Cora, I mean, he was like supposedly one of the ringleaders of this whole thing. I mean, how do you let him back in the league to manage? And Carlos Beltran as well. I mean, he literally stepped down from the Mets job like a month after he accepted it. And he was also one of the main player, as far as players go, one of the main guys that was involved too.
Hey, Pete Rose is still out of the league.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to bring up.
So.
No, Chris, if you confirm it, I'm pretty sure they were both suspended and then fired the day after. But you'll confirm in a second.
Yeah, I don't.
It's an outrage.
AJ Hinch apparently, started breaking cameras and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And
apparently.
Yeah, that's I wasn't there, so I can't state for sure. But
he was fired.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that word. I like that word. That was cute.
Yeah. So I just don't, from my standpoint, I don't know if you can let AJ Hinch. I don't know how you could let him back in the league either. I mean, I get it. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Chris.
It's funny that you say it because I just came across something about CC Sabathia was asked about the situation. He said AJ Hinch should never manage in the MLB ever again.
Do you guys agree that Cora and AJ Hinch should never manage again?
Yeah.
I agree from the simple fact that for betting purposes, Pete Rose still isn't back in the league. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to hold a grudge against a manager for gambling, These guys cheated
Yeah, it's
Max,
knowingly.
the manager is the captain of the ship, and
Yeah.
if you can't get your guys to straighten up and not do something pretty much illegal,
yeah. It's
No.
a tough situation.
It
I'm
is a
glad
tough
I'm not
situation.
the one making the decision for it, but
Yeah.
I try to put myself in these managers' shoes, especially AJ Hinch. Your team's winning a lot of games, right? And you're selling a lot of tickets, selling a lot of merchandise. Your publicity is good at that moment, and you find out your team's cheating behind closed doors. Like, man, your hands are really tied because the right thing to do is come out and say, hey, listen, we're cheating, but at the same time, you have to have a lot of pride, to come out.
You're going to be letting your city down. I mean,
You're letting a
your
lot
own
of people down.
players. And also for me,
sooner the better.
I think any player or coach involved on the team during the scandal, obviously can't be allowed in the
I agree.
Baseball Hall of
And
Fame.
AJ Hinch,
No.
maybe he would say, maybe AJ Hinch would come out and say, hey, listen, we're cheating, and then would that even help him though? Because the people would still be like, okay, you guys still cheated. Like AJ Hinch, you lost your job still.
Yeah, we all know that you cheated. Yeah, what did he freaking do?
Yeah.
It's just not going to
Doesn't
change.
change.
Now, by the time the end of his career, Jose Altuve still won't be in the Hall of Fame because now you can't really let him in.
Which is a shame because he's on such a big upstreak at this point, man.
But
it's a shame.
It would be really tough. And now in the future, I think we're all going to think of Jose Altuve with his home run coming down third base line, covering his jersey. That's every time I hear the name Jose Altuve, I think of him covering that jersey and like waving his finger.
In the moment before the whole cheating thing came out, I was like, "What is he like?" I thought that looked weird.
Yeah.
I thought it looked.
They
like
said that he had a tattoo, right? Or he had an unfinished. Carlos Correa said that his wife doesn't, or Carlos Correa said that Jose Altuve's wife didn't want him to take his shirt off, and also he had an unfinished tattoo.
why is he getting a tattoo?
Yeah,
That's what
Save it for the
Correa
offseason.
said.
Yeah, but I agree with you. Stuff like this is stamped onto a player like you mentioned Jeter earlier. Now everyone in Philadelphia was calling him Cheater Jeter, and it was just chants all over the place for the whole rest of the time he was playing.
Now, A-Rod, this happened to him at kind of the end of his career-ish, with the Yankees. Jose Altuve is young still. I mean, he's years left to play in this league. And Braun, his whole deal came out, 2012, 2013-ish. So he's kind of already played 6 years-ish with this whole, scandal over his head. And I think at first, the first season he came back, he got booed on the road at every stadium that, he went to. But nowadays, you hear the name Ryan Braun, and you're kind of like, okay, you're not bashing the guy still for the steroids.
Still
because
booze, though.
Still booze, but time has passed. So, I mean, listen, maybe 7-8 years from now, could this possibly be the same thing with, maybe not the Astros team in general, but the superstars? Do you give Altuve and Correa, depending on how they go about their business in the coming years, do you give them, I don't want to use the word give them a pass, but do you kind of back off of them a little bit?
Yeah, but fans, specifically Philly fans, don't really take lightly to even the smallest thing, like not cheating per se, but when Jeter was called cheater, he was stepping into pitches and he was getting hit, and we didn't even like that. And now even something farther like knowing the pitch before it's thrown,
right,
and stuff like that, that's even worse.
Chase Utley I'm not saying he did it all the time, but he used to not lean away from pitches that were inside.
We're not gonna boo Chase Utley.
No,
though.
Exactly.
This is just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't care what you. No, it's not going to happen. But it's so funny that we talk about the things that we should strip away from the Astros and things like that. But I can remember, and I hate to be bringing up revisionist history, but I can remember when the Patriots got caught cheating, got caught videotaping. I can remember it vividly, like it was all over the news, and I can remember being a kid just being upset and I was ready just to destroy my room because here it is, my team was in the Super Bowl. Now I come to find out my team just got cheated out of a ring. But here's the thing, like it was almost as if the Patriots just was like, oh, okay, yeah, we got cheated. We're sorry. They got slapped with a fine. And yeah, everything was cool.
You don't hear about that anymore.
You don't hardly hear about it anymore.
I think because maybe there's so much turnover, maybe with the players.
Yeah,
against the Bengals, even.
Yeah, because the Bengals have so much to.
What the hell is going on?
Man, I don't know, Stephen. I just don't.
Now, I think
No.
maybe it's different because you're filming a different team, but that's not gonna directly affect the game, like in progress, I guess you could say. I mean, you could use that stuff to prepare for the game upcoming, but to physically actually have buzzers and things in game to know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like you would have to relate it to the NFL. Like, Brady's going to throw this pass, or not Brady, for example, but Brady's throwing to the right on the side.
You still got to put that effort in, and you got to tackle, and you got to be in the spot where you're supposed to be, just like you're, at the plate. You know what pitch he's throwing. You still got to swing and make connect with
Exactly
the ball.
why Deflategate was like a bigger deal than the whole filming
that
practices.
is funny to me. Yes,
You got
the
4
Deflategate
games,
was a
just
bigger
4
thing.
games for that too.
I mean,
Yeah,
4
that's
games
what I'm
is a
saying.
lot.
Was it Brady's deal though? Was that his
Yeah,
whole?
he even ruined his phone, right?
Yep.
He tried to get rid of the evidence.
Brady
too. That's
destroyed
even
his
worse.
phone. They even went as far as going to court. They
Now,
went to court.
how does this
remember
whole
that.
thing work? They deflated the
It
balls
was
for
just
the Colts.
The Patriots. No,
Because I
it was
remember.
No,
the Patriots.
for Brady.
So Brady
So-
wanted the
Yes,
okay.
the way Brady likes his football is he likes it a little bit softer than what the average quarterback would like. As a
But
matter
were
of fact,
both
he brings
teams
it.
playing with that
Well,
deflated ball?
They
Each
switch
team
switch out the ball.
Each team brings their own set of footballs.
They got the
to
Patriots
stadium.
logo on the football.
Is that what it is?
Yes, each team brings their own set of
I
footballs.
thought
also-
the refs just had footballs.
It's also
Right.
easier.
Now
for
the referees do.
It's also easier for the wide receiver to grab onto the ball.
Right.
if it's
Or
a little-
less less
yeah.
velocity.
Right. That's how Brady was able to kind of hold on to that football a little bit better. But even still, so what happened was I think it was DeQuell Jackson that intercepted the ball. And that's how I found out. Because DeQuell Jackson went to an official. He was like, yo, something ain't right with this football. Y'all need to check this out. And that's when it started blowing up. That's when everybody was like, oh, here we go again with the Patriots again. But, going back to what we were saying, the Astros are really they are getting hammered with insults. People are just destroying this team on social media.
People are mad.
Comparing it to the Patriots is like, oh, we're just like, oh, well, Patriots is at it again.
Dude, imagine how those Astros fans feel. Because
Yeah.
hey, that's one of the greatest things that a fan could ever experience. And then you find out years later.
Maybe even speak for us personally. The difference is, we all hate the Patriots back in, when they were playing us in the Super Bowl and all. I think the Astros were a team that we all kind of like. We like watching them play. They put up a lot of runs. It was fun to watch, and find out that it was all kind of fake is just disappointing. And that's probably why there's a lot of uproar about this specific topic. So
It's a shame. It really is.
I want to touch on some Philly spring training stuff here with the team finally in Clearwater.
Andrew
And
McClutch.
Chris, you want an opening
Max,
statement
look,
here?
Well, here's the thing. Last week when we were talking about the prospects of trading for Chris Bryant, I was very much against it. I'm still very much against it. But I said if
Crazy
I was,
how things changed in this. I'll admit it too. 1 week I come in here and say one thing, I have a week to sit on it. You know what? Maybe I'll take some steps back.
That's why I keep telling
Yeah,
you to
like-
watch your mouth and what you say.
Yeah.
like
Which
when
I
you
don't listen, so whatever.
you say, how about them Cowboys? Anyway, no, you piece of Swiss cheese. Look, there's a couple people I know who take their time to listen to our fine program here, and they're like, Chris, you idiot, why would you ever trade Rhys Hoskins? And like you said, who the hell's going to play first base? That you can't just stick anyone at first base.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
And look, Rhys Hoskins, in my opinion, is the second biggest bat in this lineup. Not necessarily consistent, but he's going to be the second in home runs behind Bryce Harper. But
Probably, yeah.
I would hope so.
I still don't want to trade for Chris Bryant because I had other people who were like, Chris, how could you say Chris Bryant is done? Chris Bryant is still a star in this league. And yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. But like T brought up to me, Bryce Harper was someone talked to Bryce Harper about the possibility of bringing Chris Bryant over here to Philly. And guess what? Even though he's buddies with him, he is not for it. He is not for bringing Chris Bryant to Philadelphia. He doesn't want to mortgage the future.
Yeah, this is
And like you said, you hope Alec Boehm turns into Chris Bryant.
Yeah, this is exactly
But-
what Bryce Harper said. He said,
Please say.
I mean, you have to have certain guys on your team that makes less money and also have guys that make more money as well. Chris, of course, you want an all-star caliber player, but we have Boehm. We have a big-time third baseman. We were able to get him in the draft. Of course, anytime you're able to add an all-star caliber player, you're going to want to add an all-star player, but you have to be able to know you develop a player in the minor leagues that can also help you at third base, and Boehm could be that guy for us. So he's against trading assets away for Chris Bryant. And you know what? Me and Chris was talking about this before the show even started.
Oh, yeah.
Think about the time when we had the four aces. Think back to that time.
It was a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time. But it was a good time that didn't net anything, and we gave up so much of our prospects, of our future prospects. After that era was over, we had nothing.
Yeah, the goal is to win a World Series 100%. But at the end of the day, I mean, it was still great. I mean, the stretch of the seasons there that we had with those 4 aces, and you know, I mean, it's definitely. I'm not going to say, hey, you know, let's take back those years and maybe one of those prospects turn out to be something. You know, you as a kid, you know, you want to have those fun experiences, 2008, 2009, 2010, etc. And you know, that was a big part of my childhood specifically. And I don't know if I would go back and change history just to see if a prospect. But I understand your point. We do need our minor league system to improve a lot because right now we have, you know, 2 names in there, and then Spencer Howard and Alec Boehm. Those are the 2 guys. Yeah. Other than that, I don't think I could name a third prospect that's in the minor leagues, but that's worth a amount of attention that Boehm or Spencer Howard gets. But I do think that if Spencer Howard and Boehm can come up, I'm more of on the side where we're not going to win a World Series this year, right?
No,
the goal at the end of the day is to win a World Series. And I don't know, even if you bring up Boehm and Spencer Howard this season, depending on how they're performing in the minors, are they really going to? Yeah, they'll make a difference. But are they going to? Are they going to give us that? You know, are they going to push us over the line? You know, are they going to push us past the finish line to get us to where we want to be? And I'm not 100% sold yet because I haven't even seen this team play yet together. You know, what's Segura going to play? Where's Kingery going to play? Yeah. Are they going to put Segura at third? Are they going to keep him at second base? There's so much that goes into it still. And I, for one, will say this. I think Adam Hazley is a really good player, but I'm not ready to sit here and, you know, put him in the 8-hole every night and put him in center field every night. So I guess if I had to look at this roster and how it's constructed right now, I definitely want to see Scott Kingery play second base. I think Joe Girardi said it himself a few days ago. He wants Kingery to play one position all season long. Okay. And I agree with that statement. And you don't want Kingery playing around. You know, Kapler last season had him in center field. The next night he had him at third base. The next night he had him on the bench coming off the bench.
Kapler's not a good measurement statement. Well, I mean, let's be honest here.
Right, but my point is that I want Kingery to play. He's a second baseman. I mean, that's just what he plays. He could be a great second baseman for us defensively. And last season, maybe I wouldn't have said this last season, but he really had a great offensive season too. When you look at, you know, what his expectations were preseason, and then how he performed in the regular season, which was above, you know, expectations for me specifically. But I think if you keep him at second base and Segura at third is a big question mark. I just feel like I've seen Scott Kingery play third base, and it's not the best defensively, especially. No. So I think if you can. Go ahead, Tate.
Have we seen Segura play third?
That's the thing. Like I've seen Kingery play, and I think Segura could give us a better opportunity. If it doesn't work out, you just say, okay, hopefully Boehm can come up during the season and maybe just plug him in at third. But definitely test some things out in spring training. That's what it's all about.
I agree.
Has Boehm even played AAA ball yet?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Same thing with Spencer Howard.
Yeah, so they haven't played minor league ball yet. So in AAA, I mean.
Yeah, so we're still about a year or two away from even seeing these guys, and you know, maybe we ought to take the patient approach with these guys. Like,
I do. I do think that might be a good idea.
That you and Tanner told me I was an idiot for.
No, but listen, I say it like this:
the Braves and Nats are still like ahead of us, probably on paper.
Yeah,
oh, God.
Yeah, I hate. Yeah, I know.
Maybe even the Mets.
Pisses me off.
Maybe the Mets.
I don't know if I'm not ready to put as far as the Chris Bryant trade,
Alonso. You look at that pitching.
Brandon
staff.
Nimmo.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. As far as, you know, the future here and this upcoming season, I really do think we have to see this team play. You know, we had a lot of question marks. McCutchen coming off the ACL is one that sticks out to me because if he can, you know, get back to kind of where he was last year, we could totally see a different Phillies team because we were playing really well up until he got hurt in San Diego.
Yeah,
Gene Segura was up around 300 his batting average, and then he kind of fell off in the second half of the year. But you know, there's so many question marks. And as far as the Chris Bryant trade, you know, obviously we all want Chris Bryant in the Phillies uniform. You know, that'd be super exciting. But
absolutely,
it all depends on the package we have to give up. And I don't know if I want to give up maybe one of our top prospects and Scott Kingery, for example. I think that might be too much.
I'm not willing to, only because of the simple fact that, once again, I'm not for giving up future prospects for a guy that Chris has stated on many of occasions is aging and is a little bit older. Me personally, I don't like trading for pieces that are already established. I like developing my own pieces, working them in my system, getting them to play ball the way I want them to play ball, so that when it comes time for them to play ball the right way, the way I want them to, we're not going to have any issues. Whereas when you trade for somebody, you have to work them into your system,
right?
Compared to a system in which they already grew up in.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. And Bohm's been down in the minor leagues a few years now through our own system, and hopefully, he's here in the major leagues before a trade could even come up. For example. So I think the Chris Bryant, the idea of him being traded, there's been a lot of noise around it, but again, there's so many things goes into it. So many things factors into the decision to trade for him. And I'm just not going to sit here flat out and say, yeah, let's go get Chris Bryant, hands down, no matter what it takes. So I think it's going to be a fun season to watch. I think there's a lot of things to look at in spring training, especially the rotation. Is Jake Arrieta healthy?
Right.
Has Zach Eflin taken any steps forward? Has Pivetta taken any steps forward? Is Velasquez going to be a starter? Is he going to be a reliever? So our bullpen, there's going to be some guys coming back healthy. So
I still have to look at Hector Neris.
I hope. I mean, with Girardi down there, at least we have some we have a disciplinarian down there too to kind of guide us. And I think spring training is going to be fun to watch.
It's about damn time.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be.
Still got to get JT under contract.
Yes,
That's a huge issue.
Yeah.
We've got to get that. We got to get that problem solved.
That is
Who
expeditiously.
is Andrew Knapp still on this damn team?
Oh my
Yeah, he is.
gosh.
Yeah, he is.
Oh man.
Like, come on, how much? Like, can't the guy in AAA be better? Like, come on.
I'm with you 100%. But again,
Sorry,
to your
I didn't mean
JT
bring the
point,
team down.
to your
or
JT
the
point,
show.
we need to get him under contract.
Something I did. Something I
We know it's hard.
Want to bring up with you, Max, because we know that pitching is a weak point on this team, and you mentioned last show. I know you meant it jokingly, but about outslugging our pitching. Now I remember
we tried last year.
months back when I was doing the whole stats thing with you guys, and I was looking at some stats, and a big thing was Bryce Harper. I think it was his on base percentage was like 375. And that was leading the team. And even 375, it's like a guy like Bryce Harper, 375,
Right.
and that's leading the team. So, another big problem with the Phillies last year was they couldn't get runs in. And
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And also Gene Segura barely got walked all year. I looked at the team walks; they were 13th in the league, still average. Gotta get those walks up. And
Definitely need to get those walks up.
And
Gene Segura is one of those guys that's been hurting that
but
because he doesn't walk a lot.
you still gotta. You still gotta get those runs in. Like you said, Andrew McCutchen coming back, that's going to be huge for this team. That to me, that was where we started going downhill.
Yeah.
And we just kept going, and we kept sliding down
I
the
agree,
standings
yeah.
because for the first half of the season, weren't we leading
We were up there.
We were.
We were up
National
there.
League East?
Yeah, we were
for the
leading
whole
National
first half.
League East. Yeah, we were really
And
up there in the power rankings
Now,
too.
as far as Adam Hazley, it's like, what's your better option? Like, I
You
know
don't have
there's
one.
Roman Quinn, and Roman Quinn's a guy I want to believe in. He's a great base
I've
runner.
wanted to believe in him for years now. And he
That's a great
just
way of
couldn't
putting
stay
it.
healthy.
That's a great
It's
way
an
of putting it.
outrage.
I mean, the guy is 0.03 of a batting average away from just being Billy Hamilton. And
Yeah. No. Listen.
Look.
I'm trying to. Baseball is one of those things that's just so different. You gotta have a lot of patience.
Oh, yeah.
And when I'm sitting here talking about the Sixers or the Eagles, I'm aggressive. I want this guy. I want this guy. We need to make this move. The baseball is playing 162 games over the whole season. It's a lot
marathon.
of patience.
It's a marathon.
You really need to sit back, and you can't make any drastic moves. Eagles games. You got 16 games, right? So you see something bad happen one week. Okay, we only got 15 games left. You got to make an adjustment. If you play a 3-game series, somebody maybe a player goes 1 for 12. You can't just be like, okay, we got to make a difference. He's going to sit on the bench, because it's such a long season. So people go through slumps in baseball all the time.
Right.
So go ahead.
Bruce still on the team? Jay
Yes,
Bruce?
Jay
Okay.
Bruce is still on.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think he
so
still has 1 year left on his
that's
contract.
probably your fourth outfielder then.
Definitely your fourth outfielder, and depending on how McCutchen reacts to his rehab and coming back healthy, you could also platoon them. One's a right-handed batter, one's a left-handed batter.
Bruce
If,
was a monster when he came here.
Yeah, he was.
if Bruce and if McCutchen needs a break here and there, a day off because of his he's getting up there in age a little bit. You can always plug Bruce in there, and he's been a veteran in each locker room or locker rooms he's been in. He's been with 4 teams now, and that is started out with Cincinnati, went to the Mets and the Indians, and now with us. So I do, or the Mariners as well. I'm sorry, but him coming in, like you said, Tanner, he was great for us at the trade deadline last year, and I think he is going to be our 4th outfielder. And again, it's another great guy to have in the clubhouse.
Great. Not another leader that you definitely need to.
Big bet, yeah.
Yeah, another big bet.
Here's another question for you, just because I'm trying to piece together this team in my head. Where do you see Didi in the lineup? Do you see him 5th ahead of Real Muto? Do you put him behind Real Muto?
That's a great question.
That is a good question.
Because I see McCutchen leading off, Segura, Harper, Hoskins, but then it's like
I think we could sit here for hours and talk about how we want to all construct this
No,
lineup,
I
but
know.
I think
We got a show.
McCutchen, he played so well in the leadoff spot.
me out, coach.
He played so well in the leadoff spot last year, and you had Segura up there, and for me, Segura's one of those guys that he may be your one guy in the clubhouse where if things don't go his way, you're gonna know. I don't think he may not be as big of a team guy as like a Reese or a Bryce or JT. So I think what you want to do with Segura, and just my opinion, you might want to have him hit higher up in the lineup. And I know people are saying,
Just to
okay,
stroke his ego.
well, yeah, you want to. He hits for contact, which is one of his great abilities that he brings to the table. So I think if you have McCutchen lead off again, like he produced last year for us. I remember that leadoff home run he had at CBP on opening day. I mean, we were all going crazy when that happened. So
was cool.
I think he brings a lot of energy to the top of the lineup. And then if you have Segura up there, second, or I don't know if you can hit him third. I think second might be the only other place. I know guys are going to sit here and argue and say, "Hey, JT's got to be up there. Hey, Didi's got to be up there," but it's just one of those things where if you put Segura 6th, 7th, I mean, what are you getting out of him? He might be like, "Oh, I'm hitting 6th."
People
Like,
what they want to see.
do I really want to? I'm not saying he won't try hard, but Segura in the 6th hole just doesn't sit well with me. I think you might want to put him 2nd and experiment. Like I said earlier to you, experiment in spring training. That's what the games are for. Maybe you put Real Muto 5, or do you want to stack, left, right, left, right, left, right? I mean, how does Girardi want to manage this?
Which is me personally, that is an excellent strategy. Going right, left, right, left.
Well,
Well, kind of throws you off. kinda
Remember
throws
that new
them.
rule where the reliever has to face 3 hitters before you take him out, barring injury or anything like that.
Right.
So, Girardi's, I have 100% trust in Girardi.
That I do.
He
I
has
agree with
rings
you on
as
that.
a player, rings as a manager, or a ring as a manager. But again, listen, I think we all know he knows what he's doing.
Yes.
And I think if you put Bryce in the 3 hole, Reese in the 4 hole, I think that's fine. I think JT as a 5 hitter, there's question marks there. I mean, he's a good enough hitter to be hitting 2nd in your lineup.
Yeah, he is.
So you're probably not going to move Bryce away from the 3 spot because he's probably your best hitter, and Reese is going to be your cleanup guy to drive and runs. Hitting 2nd, hitting 5th, I mean, there's a big difference there.
Yeah.
So I think it comes down to his preference. I'll go up to JT. I'll say, do you feel more comfortable hitting 2nd? Because at the end of the day, all these guys got to be on the same page if we want to win games.
I'm just looking at the Yankees batting lineup this past playoffs, and they had Gregorius batting 8th and 9th.
Wow. He will not be batting 8th or
No.
9th. for
No,
us.
not for us, but
No.
because the Yankees are just nuts.
I think that one of the other weird things we saw last year was the pitcher. The pitcher for us hit 8th sometimes, and that brings up a question.
Yo,
What if
man.
we hit DD 9th?
Wasn't that
Do
a
you hit
Cubs thing?
Well, yeah, but do you even bring up the thought of hitting DD 9th and putting the pitcher 8th, for example? Do you even bring that up? Because DD is a run producer, but again, having all these guys it's a good problem because you need guys that are going to drive in runs.
Agreed.
And I'm sitting here scratching my head about Segura. I'm almost forgetting about Didi. If Segura hits 6th, where's Didi hit 7th? You can't put him 7th, can you?
No.
Yeah, that's too far down.
But it's
the
like,
lineup. My goodness.
because then you got and it's like Kingery at 7. It's like, I mean, I get it, but it's like, geez, that's low for Kingery.
It's a lot.
Hazley is a lock at 8.
Listen, it's a lot of fun talking about where these guys are going to hit, but it also causes a lot of headaches because you want to make sure these guys are in the right spots to succeed, and the fact that there's so many different names and they bring so many different abilities to the table that do we want to see Segura in the 2 hole? Do we want to see Segura in the compared to the 7 hole? Do we want to see Didi in the 7 hole compared to the 5 hole? There's so much that goes into it, and I think spring training, as we all sit here and we usually say, let's just get to the regular season. I don't really care about spring training. In all honesty, we have to really take these spring training games and really cherish them, because this is where we find out, okay, how do these guys fit well in our lineup, and who's making the opening day roster? Because we have close to 70 guys that are going to be in spring training, and there's going to be a big time fight for bench positions and starting rotation, things of that nature. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
Great.
oh yeah.
All right, real quick, we got about 10 minutes left here. I want to touch on the Sixers. They ended the first half of the season on a high note, beating the Clippers. And Joel Embiid comes back, brings a lot of energy to the table. He needs to learn how to wrap that thing up. He does need to learn how to wrap the thing up. I agree. Joel Embiid brings back a lot of energy during that last game, and Ben Simmons as well, playing up to a super high level. And they really played well together on the court for the first time we've seen in a while. So. Listen, coming out of this All-Star break, they got the Nets, and then they got a tough stretch. They got Milwaukee on the road for a game in there. They got L.A., both L.A. teams, the Clippers and the Lakers, and those games are both on the road, which we know they struggle on the road this year. So this is going to be a tough test. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, they win this game, they lose that game, because that's just nitpicking too much. You can't.
You can't.
But I tell you what, if they play how they did at home against the Clippers last Tuesday night, the ceiling is ridiculously high for this team.
And that's where everybody's frustration comes from, is the fact that they play so well at home, but then when they go on the road, they play stupid. Like that's
I guess that's a good way to put it. They do play stupid.
That's the nicest way I can put it. I'm sorry, but I don't understand maybe the home crowd. I don't know. Maybe they like people's foot up their behinds. I don't know. I just don't understand.
Maybe they bring the super cool flame / pregame intro on the road and put it in the locker room for them. They get all hyped from it. You never know. There's an idea.
Or maybe some of our fans need to buy at least a good section of them and just start booing out of nowhere and just start delivering
Boots to asses
to them every single place that they go.
There's an idea. But again, listen, the big question I think here is going to be Brett Brown down the stretch of the season. Listen, I know Joel Embiid, he has his ups and downs as far as hustling, and Ben Simmons hasn't been able to pull up that jump shot yet, but I think those guys bring their own individual strengths to the table. And if Joel Embiid, what he says is true, and he's going to start having more fun again and posting on social media and things like that, then I can buy into him having a great second half of the season. But Brett Brown's going to have some big-time decisions to make, and here's why. He starts Furkan Korkmaz the other night, moves Al Horford to the bench. That's a bold move.
Yeah.
Right? You're paying Al Horford $107 million.
We talked about that last week.
As fans, we can sit here and nitpick and say, hey, listen, okay, let's sit Al Horford on the bench, But the fact of the matter is, get paid $107 million in the NBA is a big thing. That's not a bench player. You're not paying him to be a bench player. You're paying him to be a starter. So Brett Brown, I tip my hat off to him, because that's a big-time move to make. And, hey, it worked out. We beat the Clippers. But I think another question comes up. Do you do it every night?
Yeah. It also shows what kind of player Al Horford is, because did you hear any complaints from him?
Nope.
Well, no, Al Horford's not going to, he's not the type of player that's going to make any kind of noise.
And that's a good guy to have in the
that.
locker room, Tanner. He brings up a good point with that statement there. Al Horford did not have any complaints, and he came in. He was productive, played well, high energy.
Yeah.
And I think the rotation, the whole rotation factor that Brett Brown put into play for that game turned out well for them. Now, here's the only problem. Like I started with this topic. I said Furkan Korkmaz started. Obviously, wasn't the best decision because he didn't score a single point, and he brought the energy off the bench, scoring 30+ 2 straight games, and then he drops a 0 on us, and it's like, okay, hold on, this did work in certain. Oh no! It did work in certain scenarios, but when you have a guy like Furkan scoring 30 and then 30 the next night, both back-to-back games, and then comes out and scores 0, there's a problem there. So I think he has to move back to the bench. And here's the real problem: who you starting?
Exactly.
There's so many different names you can almost just pick out of a hat.
I still stick with my boy Matisse Thybulle.
Okay.
For reasons I said last week, I think he brings a D&3 element to the starting lineup. He better be. He doesn't have much of a choice due to Al Horford's lack of play. This is the time for the young guys to step up. I see you stepping up from the bench. I see you stepping up. Getting a couple steals here and there. Time to step it up to the starting lineup.
Whoever starts won't get 30+ minutes like the rest of the starters will.
No, and I don't want him to get 30+ minutes. He's not ready for that. But I do want him to start contributing to this team
right. And
from
I think
a starting
Furkan
position.
On the second unit with Al Horford, he could be the scorer,
Right.
As we've seen him do previously. against the Bulls and the Grizzlies 2 weeks ago now. But I do think that Thibault's a good option because you can give him like 15 to 20 minutes a night and rotate that one spot, that 2-guard spot, or the 3 even.
Yeah!
But I do think, you still have guys like Mike Scott in there as well. I'm not saying you're going to start Mike Scott, but there's so many different names you can pick from. Alec Burks, Glenn Robinson III, these new guys we just brought in. So I do think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Brett Brown, and hey, this could be the last stretch with Brett Brown with the Sixers.
So this is most likely going to be.
He's got to really do something to pull something out of a hat here
This
in order to.
This is his final chance to prove to everybody that he is a good coach. If he does not come out of this stretch with a positive record, if he does not somehow, some way advance the 76ers past the 5th seed where they currently sit now, he's on the chopping block. Like he's not going to be around because at this current moment, I don't see this team being able to make the finals in their current state.
I do agree, and I think that Al Horford move he made the other night is a big time decision.
I agree.
He deserves all the credit for that.
But that is one of those moves where you're like, okay, I got to save my ass. I got to do something. I can't just continue.
I do agree with that, but listen, Al Horford going to the bench. I mean,
I'm not arguing why he took him to the bench. I'm not arguing that. But like you said, with his contract, that is one of those moves where you're like, okay, I got to save my behind.
Well, yeah, but listen to this. Say that move doesn't work out. Say that move doesn't work out at all. Then you're like, man, Brett Brown's a real dope. Why is he sitting the $700 million
Yeah, but that's
player?
already what most people are thinking.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, anybody changing that?
It is true.
So what T is saying, he's got nothing to lose.
He doesn't. And when you're in that situation, when you're back against the wall, you're just willing to try anything to get some space between you and that wall.
Either it makes you look like a hero, or
You look a little stupid.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Well, listen, we all do give him credit, and hopefully, he can start making good decisions and keep adding them up because that was obviously a good one. It did work out for us. And, depending on those there's like 3 or 4 names there that are juggling for minutes. Like, who's going to get more minutes? Furkan's there, Alec Burks, Glenn Robinson, Matisse Thybulle, and Mike Scott. Those are the names that are going to be scrambling around. Who's going to get more minutes over the other? And I guess that's going to have to be proven over the next handful of games coming out of this break.
Yep.
Because listen, this has to be all figured out before we get to the playoffs.
Yes.
So we need to figure out our rotation and who's going to get what minutes.
Yes.
As that regular season draws to a close and the playoffs are going to open up. And right now, we are not a top 4 seed.
No,
and it would
not.
be great to get home court advantage. And our strength of schedule isn't too bad down the stretch. We have a couple games against the Wizards, the Hornets, the Knicks,
You
the
understand what
Cavaliers.
I'm saying to you?
So there's definitely a lot of opportunities for wins.
I agree. They just got to take advantage of it, and they have to play their game to their strengths. And number 25, the guy that wears the Simmons on the
You
back
mean
of
the
your
guy
jersey.
that hasn't really shot the ball?
Yeah. I'm gonna need him to take a couple jump shots.
He didn't take any shots during the All-Star
He
game.
did
right?
not.
Why not? I mean, it's the All-Star game.
'Cause
It's
you
not
don't-
a game
you
that
don't-
matters.
yeah, but
but
it doesn't-
you don't want to look like
many
a
kids
fool
does
if
he
he
have?
misses it. But
I did see
he's 2 for 2 thus
I
far,
did
right?
see a one picture
for
actually.
kids.
Oh yeah,
Did you see that? They're
the
all
team
laughing at
gathering
him.
behind him
Yeah.
talking. That could have been out of context. We
Yeah.
don't know what they were talking
Different
about.
conversation.
But, yeah, but we got the remaining time. Let's talk some pigskin. Wrap up the.
All right.
We talked about the end of. I'm talking a different league though.
All right.
XFL.
Oh, we talking XFL.
It's only
All right.
week 2 just ended, and we got the DC Defenders from the East 2-0, and we got
Tell
the
you what,
West.
10 you're into this
Houston
XFL,
Rough.
huh?
Hey man.
And you know why I'm
It's
into
into
it?
this
Because the
XFL,
top
huh?
player right now who has thrown 7 touchdowns, 1 interception is PJ Walker.
Yes.
And he
former
played-
Temple quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. So he's the biggest star in the XFL right
Yes,
now.
he
And,
is seriously
No,
lighting
this
it up.
league is very interesting.
I'll tell you who's not the biggest star in the league, Matt McGloin.
Oh, definitely not. No.
I tell you
out
what,
there
I was-
arguing with his coach in
I'll
public.
tell you what, I got the DC Defenders.
I tell you what, I was watching Larry Jones last night, and I wasn't very inspired. let's just put it that I can almost guarantee that if there was better quarterback play, the XFL would be blown.
See,
up.
that's-
Cordell Jones?
you hit it
don't-
right
you
on the
don't
head.
like him?
He's okay.
Till you hit it right on the head. If they had good, now listen, I have nothing against the XFL. I've even watched a few games, not all the way through, but I've had tuned in. And I think if they did have better quarterback play, I mean anything that's entertaining, people will watch at the end of the day.
Just like I said, I just love the simple fact that when a player messes up and that And the reporter is right there
I
in
know,
her
that
face.
is-
Like, that is funny.
That's one of the
because
things
you're-
that makes XFL fun.
You're catching a player in the heat of the moment where they're still pissed off. And I'm just like, yo, man, this is entertaining.
Calling out his coach on national TV during the game.
Yeah.
And then they benched him. They benched him after
Pissed
that.
off.
Shocker.
That was that was funny to me. Oh, my goodness. God. All right.
We still got the NFL.
Yeah, we
Is
still
there
got
any wrap-up things you want to talk about, T?
Yeah, apparently there's a report out there that the Philadelphia Eagles are seriously trying to ship Alshon Jeffrey out of here because there's a lot of reports coming out that they think he's the source of the trouble. So they're trying to do everything that they can to get him out of there.
What would be the backup plan here, T?
I don't know what
You're getting rid of Aguilar, and now you want to get rid of Alshon Jeffrey.
Hey,
The white side.
Hey, listen. First off, you gotta put yourself in the position where you're going to draft a wide receiver. Me personally, I want Henry Ruggs III out of Alabama. I think he's got the speed, and he's got the playmaking ability that you need at the wide receiver position. But at the same time, yes, you're going to have to replace this talent, for lack of a better term. Because let's be honest here, Nelson Aguilar had inconsistent hands, and Alshon Jeffrey now all of a sudden act like he can't run routes and catch the football anymore. So at this point, I don't care if they hire Max James to come in and play right receiver at this point.
Max James.
I just want Alshon Jeffrey and Nelson Aguilar, straight up.
Get the out.
That's all I got to say.
See, I think Alshon Jeffrey he's going to come off an injury either way, if he's with us or against us in a different uniform. But we have a injured, now recovering Deshaun Jackson. We don't have Nelson Aguilar anymore. We have Greg Ward and Arcega Whiteside. Basically, what I'm saying is, listen, I've said on the show before, when I talk Eagles, I get aggressive. I want people going. I want moves being
Yes.
made. I'm trying to take a step back and be a little bit more patient, especially because the baseball topic helped me with that. So, am I going to sit here and say, Alshon, get out? Because there's another option. You really do need a D-backs galore. You need 5 of them, probably.
If we had more
are you
time, I would seriously argue with you about the simple fact that, look, I'm not paying Alshon Jeffrey that much money, and he's not affecting my cap that much for him not to be that.
Well, listen, you know what? The good news is
Not match a certain amount of production.
we get to come back to the show next week and discuss. So I'm going to write that in as the first topic. How about that?
Doggone
Next
right
week.
you are.
About them.
You doggone right you will.
All right, but for now, let's shut it down.
All right. If you guys missed any of this episode, you can always go to philly-experience.simplecast.com. We are available on all major platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, and more. So check us out. Now I'm hyped. Because now you done started football with me, and now I'm hyped.
Because that guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Nicholas Goat.
I want to see people rip their heart out of their fing chest. I'm not putting